The evolution of a clan boss team is obviously very different from one player to the next. In today's video, I want to present my new one key Ultra Nightmare team, but also at the same time quickly talk about the evolution over the last year. So let's jump right in. Let me quickly start with a few shoutouts here, starting with Hell Hades, because literally a year ago we collabed on tuning my own clan boss team, and I was trying to push for Ultra Nightmare. So roughly 1 year ago, when I was still not taking the content creator perks, I was just reaching Ultra Nightmare, and the team that we had tuned or worked with was this one right here. As you can see, it was not perfect. We did not have a proper decrease attack A1 champion, and we didn't have enough damage output on our champions. We were dying pretty early, but this was amongst my first attempts to get to this team. Then eventually over time, I reached my 3 key Ultra Nightmare only about 4 months ago. 4 months ago. It's kind of hard to believe that after all that time, I was still only roughly in that range. But recently, we had the fusion of Iron Brago, and that allowed me to reach a 2 key Ultra Nightmare, which is the team that I was using as of 2 weeks ago, or maybe just even a week ago. No dedicated poisoner, but double ally protection, which allowed me to last very, very long. And of course, very good offensive stats on these champions. 100% crit rate on almost all of them, almost close to 200% crit damage also on all of them. We do have a toxic set in here to try and squeeze out just a little bit more damage. From here, my plan was to get a Sepulchre Sentinel, and then I would have been able to do this team right here, which in my opinion is maybe a little bit better, but this was not going to work without that Sepulchre Sentinel. I never got a chance to get her, but as of today, guys, I finally got the Unkillable champions, or should I say block damage, which has allowed me to do the Batman Forever team. So shout out to Deadwood Jedi here for putting this on his website. Also a quick shout out to Murder Inc. I think he's one of the first players to present this from another guy who figured it out. I don't recall who that is, so shout out to him as well, or to everybody basically that was involved in building this. But in this video, we kind of see the same concept of a Roshcard Warcaster Seeker, which is what I have as well. And then I use basically the tuner here from Deadwood Jedi to figure out exactly which rotation I need to do. So now let's go check out at a run, and then we'll check out the champions. So I'll quickly start by explaining the skill setup. We do the block damage from Warcaster first. You skip the Terminator boost from Seeker. You go into the A3 from Fayne. She's in Relentless. She could take as many turns as she wants. Basically, it doesn't matter because your block damages will always be at the end. You skip the block damage here from Roshcard the Tower, so we go for the A2. You go into the buff here from Kreela. She's currently in a Reflex set. She might as well be in a Relentless set as well. That would also work. By the second turn, now we do the Terminator boost from Seeker. We do that A1. Then we're going to cycle back around here to our Fayne. Again, if she would take more turns, it doesn't matter. It's actually a good thing. Then we do the second block damage. We do the first allies join attack, which is obviously a little bit random. So it's always with 3 other champions and herself. So you're not getting the full team. And then we go for A1 Warcaster. Here's our second AoE. Pay attention though right now to the poison ticks. I'll come back to those, but they can impact your HP. It's important that you're going to find a way to deal with that tick on the Void Affinity. All right, then we cycle through our skills yet again, and we're going to finish this probably this last round. I think right here what's happening is I didn't realize, but the A3 had procced from the reflex set, so I should have done the A3 from Kreela. This was sort of like my first attempt. I was still kind of just figuring out how all of this works. Right there, we go for a Fayne. She heals herself good. Now we're going to do the A2 from Roshcard the Tower again, and finally finish this last round with block damage. Our stun target is Kreela, and then we hit auto. All right, so there's a little bit of setup in the beginning. I think you might even be able to hit auto before the time being. I'm doing it up until the first stun, and then that's it. This keeps going on forever. Unfortunately, my first attempts ended up failing because of exactly that, the poison ticks that you see right there. Every time that the Warcaster is going to be placing his block damage, you're going to get 1 turn of block damage for 2 turns of poison ticks. And then at some point, you're going to take 1 tick of poison while the block damage is down. Therefore, your HP will gradually start going down a little bit. If Kreela ends up putting her shield, her A1 shield, on another champion, or let's say on herself, and then for instance Roshcard the Tower gets slightly lower, this might change the stun target. So the way to compensate for this, which you don't see in this video, is to put 2 pieces of Immortal on these champions. Everyone except Kreela and Fayne. So basically Warcaster, Roshcard, and Seeker. So that is why you'll see that the gear is a little bit different from this actual run. This one ended up working anyway, and I did make it to my full 50 turns to reach my first ever 1-key Ultra Nightmare with a very reasonable amount of damage. I've since had a little bit better because I've been able to perfect the gear, but as you see right here, see how Roshcard doesn't have full health? Neither does Seeker and Warcaster. I'm also losing some DPS because of this. If I were full health, I could take advantage of the Heart of Glory Mastery, and I'll get back to that in a second to explain to you guys exactly why I decided to build it this way. But overall, the speeds are exactly the ones you see on the Deadwood Jedi site, and as for the rest, again, it's up to you guys to decide if you want to do Reflex or Relentless on your Fayne and your Kreela Witch-Arm. Now let's check out the gear. Starting with Kreela Witch-Arm, she's been built for a very long time on my account. I even did her skills entirely in the anticipation of getting a Sepulchre Sentinel, which I thought would come way before getting Roshcard and Warcaster. As for the pieces, I literally just have 1 set of Reflex on my account, so I had to work with those, and then I had to get the right speed. Of course, you would want 100% crit rate, but that is not always easy to do with these very high speeds. So instead, I aimed for about 70%, so then I could take advantage of the increased crit rate buff that she brings to the table. Now again, I want to test Relentless on this champion, which I might do eventually. I also would love to have full refresh accessories on her, which I could do, but I would be losing a lot of attack to instead go for HP. I might give that a shot again, but perhaps it is best to have high offensive stats first to gamble on the refresh accessories. All right, same thing for the banner here. This could very well be instead attack. You don't need accuracy on this champion, so I would be able to squeeze out a little bit more damage from her. Trying to reach 4.5k attack, maybe even 5k attack would be fantastic. More crit damage, again 100% crit rate would guarantee that when you get, let's say, a couple of like extra turns while the increased crit rate is off, you still get those big crits, right? So again, all the skills are done on this champion. We love this right here: increase attack, increase crit rate, but also the allies join attack. And then for the masteries, here are the ones that I'm using right now. War Master, Heart of Glory. This is the mastery I was talking about. On her is kind of pointless. She's never going to be full health because you have to be sure she's lower health than the other one, so she remains the stun target. What I could try is to make her weaker and try to reach below 50% HP so I could take advantage of Grim Resolve. I might consider that eventually, but for the time being, this is what she has because she was built like this for the previous build I wanted to try, and it still works for the time being, so I'm going to leave it like this. I did go for lasting gifts to get more increased crit rate and increase attack buffs. Cycle of Magic, again, it's all about her taking more turns on that A2 and A3. Now let's do Roshcard the Tower, the latest addition to this roster. I just got him while trying to pull for Countess Licks, and I got the Warcaster a little bit before though, but this would not have been possible without this champion right here. So here are the individual pieces: speed, crit rate, attack percent. You want this guy to hit as hard as possible as well. You don't care about survivability. It's not perfect, but guys, this is after all my account. I don't have godly gear yet, but it certainly was sufficient to build this team. You also don't really need accuracy on this champion, but these boots are so nice, so I kind of had to work with them. This ring is kind of really good. It's usually on a different champion, but now he's getting it because he's more important. Crit damage amulet, and then we have an attack banner. So on this guy, I would say it's a little bit better, but still overall the attack is low. He does start with a very low amount, so it is hard to get good ones. The speed has to be roughly this one. We're above 70% crit rate, 210% crit damage. Again, this could be a little bit better. He has high HP because his A2 also scales off of that. You do need to do all the skills as you can see right here, but this one is attack and then this one is HP, and then of course reducing cooldown to 4 turns for the block damage. As for the masteries, so now this is the typical setup that I use on basically all the other champions except Fayne. So we do have Heart of Glory. Don't forget, we will be reaching full health with those 2 immortal pieces at some point, and we can also take advantage of Stoke to Fury here by guaranteeing that you do a little bit more damage every time you have a debuff, which is basically all the affinities, right? This will always be on for at least 4%. Either you're getting decreased attack, you're getting the decreased speed, the poison, and so overall this should help dealing a little bit more damage. Then we go into the defense tree here with deterrence to try and get a counter attack when our leader gets stunned. You kind of don't want retribution because you're never going to take those massive hits. You're always going to have block damage, therefore this one is kind of pointless. Now let's do Warcaster, the fastest champion on the team. So this was not easy to reach these speeds while trying to have good offensive stats. We had to go with 4 pieces of speed and then 2 immortal yet again to ensure that we're full health throughout the entire fight. Here are the individual pieces real quick. Do have some crit damage gloves, an attack percent chest, and then some speed boots. We do have an attack ring, unfortunately with a lot of defense. This could be better, but maybe over time, actually maybe I have a better one right there. So I'll roll this at some point. Then we have crit damage amulet, and we do have also an attack banner on this champion. Well, kind of the same problem as Roshcard the Tower. It is hard to reach good offensive stats because this champion does start with low attack overall. 266 speed is probably close to the minimum that you need. 67% crit rate, a little bit too low. 207% crit damage. This could also be a little bit better. All the skills are done on this champion as well. And then for the masteries, literally the same setup as Roshcard the Tower. So Heart of Glory, we are also going for Stoke to Fury, War Master, and Deterrence being the most important ones. Then, of course, we have the star of this team, which is why it's called Batman Forever. So we have literally the Batman here. And I've had this guy for a while, never really used him because I knew I just didn't have the rest of the pieces. So it's kind of funny how really good epic champions sometimes don't shine until you have the rest of the team to go with it. All right, so same concept here. This guy does deal a lot of damage, so you do want to try and increase his stats as much as possible, perhaps more than Warcaster and Roshcard, but again, 2 pieces of immortal. So here are the pieces real quick. Lots of crit rate, crit damage. We do have an attack percent chest, 6-star. I took apart one of my Rotos to get this chest because it is worth it. This is something I use every day. Rotos, not as much. We do have a beautiful ring right here. We have a crit damage amulet, which got 3 rolls on attack, so I kind of like that. And then we have right here an attack banner. So his total stats are, unfortunately, still could be a little bit higher, right? You would want to reach 4K, 4.5K attack if you could. 249 speed, this is really important. 70% crit rate, 243% crit damage. You don't care about the accuracy on this champion. All the skills are done, right, as you would imagine. And then here are the masteries, and yeah, you've guessed it, literally the same thing as Warcaster and Roshcard. And now we have Fayne, the absolute DPS monster of this team. Yes, Dracomorph might be better. Dracomorph might give me also a better option when I face other affinities, but for the time being, all I have is Fayne. So as you can imagine, I deal less damage against, let's say, the magic affinity, and I'll show you guys some results in a second. In a relentless set, probably the best relentless set on my team, on my account, basically. We have a lot of speed. She also needs to be really, really fast. I had to take apart my Sile of the Drakes for this to work, but at this point, again, I don't care. This team is more important. And then look at this chest piece, probably the best one on my account. I love it. It's immunity. I would love to have a faster immunity set for the arena, but I don't care. Again, Clan Boss is more important in my opinion. Crit damage gloves. And then for the ring right here, we do have reasonable stats, could be better. As for the amulet, crit damage. And then for the banner, you do need accuracy on this champion. She's your decreased defense and weaken. She's also your poisons, so you really want that to work. Total stats, 75% crit rate, 234% crit damage, 4.5k attack, 270 accuracy, good enough for what we're doing. And as for the skills, they are all done, obviously. And this is the skill I'm talking about here, decrease defense and weaken. So again, she can take as many turns as she can. It will not impact your team. And then for the masteries, we do have Deadly Precision, sorry, Heart of Glory. Again, really important. You do have War Master, and I decided to go with instead Cycle of Magic and Master Hexer on the support tree instead of going into the defense one. I might switch this up eventually and try to go for Stoke to Fury. We shall see, but for the time being, this is it. Now let me quickly show you guys the results of all the runs I've been able to do so far, which as you can see does not have any spirit affinity results because I have not been able to face the spirit type yet. But here's a void run, about 80 million, always roughly around this amount. All right, so I have Fayne dealing the most amount of damage at 27 million, about 16 million for Seeker. Kreela seems to be a little bit on the low side. We would expect more from her, so maybe I just need to fix her stats. Who knows, maybe this will even be a little bit better in the future. Here's the Force Affinity. Now Fayne is dealing even more damage at 28 million. And then for the other ones, obviously this is a little bit weak. Therefore, we're getting close to that 1 key. It's sometimes a little bit under 70 million, but I'm going to call it roughly 1 key. Magic Affinity, unfortunately, is going to be lower because Fayne is now weak. She's dealing only 14 million damage. We have 14 million here on Kreela, about 15 million, 10 million on the other guys here. Okay, so again, this is not perfect. For the Spirit Affinity, when I do end up facing him, it will be with a Doompriest in the lead instead of a Kreela Witch-Arm, so we will be losing the allies' joint attack, but we'll be gaining a cleanse on every turn, which is going to affect our masteries, right? We're not going to be able to take advantage of Stoke to Fury, but we do have a reasonable Relentless set here as well, so lots of speed, attack rate, attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, speed, basically anything to power up her offensive stats as well. Crit damage gloves, they're not done yet. We have attack, crit damage for the amulet, attack banner, and then here are her total stats. 207 speed is normal. Don't forget she has an aura to boost the speed of the Force champions, and because she's in the lead, she's going to take advantage of that on herself. We will be getting some increased crit rates here and there, but we will be losing the overall 30% crit rate buff, so this is really going to hurt my team. And then we will have at least increased attack. We also have it on Seeker. We will be healing by every turn, and then here are the masteries. I might need to optimize this a little bit, but overall this is the concept, guys. So hopefully you have learned something. I know this team was presented many times before, but there are a few details that I found myself figuring out along the way, so hopefully in today's video that was explained as well. All right, so here's a quick snapshot of the Great Hall. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. How can I improve my team going forward? What can I change? Do let me know. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys later.